She's a friend of mine. Take it easy, take it easy.
It's 9:10 here on Saturday Morning Live on 980 WCAP. Warren Shaw here with Jerry Nutter with Dennis Reddy, who's in the house. Hey, Dennis.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
All right, who you got with you?
Janet Askenburg.
Yeah.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, Janet. How are you?
Good, how
Get
are
nice,
you?
Keep close to the microphone.
Okay.
I think that's, I'm not sure. They change them around during the week. I don't know whether that's a strong one or the weak one, but we'll make sure that you get your voice out there.
Okay,
Last
great.
time I saw you, you were running for school committee.
That's correct.
And so 3 years later, you are finishing your term on the school committee
That's correct.
and decided to take a shot at the next step. Are
Yeah.
you staying on the school committee, or are you not running for re-election?
I'm not running for re-election.
Right.
I do feel like the schools are on the right path.
Right. So what's changed as a result of your activities there? I know my impression of you was she's kind of a business person, and that I thought you would be applying those kind of skills to the job. What happened?
Well, we probably about 4 months after I won election, we had a change in superintendents. So we hired Dr. Tiano, which was a real plus for the school district. And or the school system. I'm sorry, Dennis.
Dennis doesn't like district?
He doesn't like district.
I think you should say schools department, school system.
Yes.
But in terms of bureaucraties, it's a district.
Well, it is if it's a VOC or one of those in multiple towns, but I just
No,
consider it a department in the town.
All right. Well, we won't debate that.
So out of respect for Dennis, I try to say school system.
Yeah. Right?
But no, we implemented a lot of changes. I know when I ran, I really talked about a 5-year strategic
Right.
plan.
Yep.
I really wanted the school system to be run a bit more like a business.
Right.
And we did that. The new superintendent came on, and he really embraced the 5-year strategic plan concept. And he went out, he spoke with parents, he even spoke with students, he spoke with the businesses in town, he spoke with everybody and said, what is important to you? What should we be looking at in changes for our school district? What's the path we want to be on? Technology, curriculum, all areas. So he put that in place, and, that's been our guiding principle, ever since then. We've been really focusing on efficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I was running, people were saying, there's no more cuts to be had. There's nothing else in the budget we can cut. Yet, we've had over the changes we've put in place over the past 3 years, we're looking at over $1 million in savings.
Wow.
In the school budget alone.
And you were able to use those revenues that you didn't spend, presumably, to educate kids.
To educate kids, to invest back very strategically. We haven't had to make any cuts over the past 3 years. Unlike some other towns that maybe are looking at some budget problems, we
Very
weren't
good.
in that position. But some of that also, quite honestly, there was investments in technology, investments in some teaching positions, and some aides in some of the classrooms to help with the class sizes. But also, really just to kind of pay the bills. We had we have contracts to pay.
What I've been impressed about the most is that it's been, in the 3 years she's been on the school committee, and she's been the chair the last two, that there hasn't been any of this us and them and that kind of thing. I think the school has got along real well with finance and selectmen and everything else.
And with each other.
And with each other.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes the most important thing, is that you have a team concept, and there's nobody trying to distinguish themselves by picking away at good policy. So
Yeah.
it sounds like a good 3-year term.
It has. It's been very enjoyable, and honestly, I'll really miss it. It was a tough decision to say I'm not going to run for another 3-year term, because I really like these folks. We get along very well. Now, we don't always agree, and I like that.
Yeah.
And we don't come into the meeting already have decided, how we're going to vote, and we come there, we hash it out right there in front of everyone. But what I really like is everyone acts very professional. We set our personal differences aside. We come to the table, and we have those discussions. Sometimes they're a little difficult, but we all understand. At the end of the day, we're one group, and we put the face on that, you know what, I didn't support this, but, at this meeting, but going forward, I support the school system, and, I'm gonna put my best face forward and support the group.
All right, so you said it was a tough decision to run for re-election. So it must have been outweighed by something you felt about running for the Board of Selectmen. What was it? What is it that drove you in that direction?
My true interest is in business. That's just, that's what I get up and do every day.
Mm-hmm.
And, besides my family and, of
Right.
course, my kids. But again,
Naturally.
yes, naturally. But, again, I feel like the schools are on the right path. I tend to run where I feel there's a need. That's kind of what guides me. I never sat there and said, I really want to get into politics, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to
Right.
run for the school committee first, then I'm going to run for the Board of Selectmen. It was never an agenda.
Yeah.
And it's just something where I felt there was a need for my expertise on the Board of Selectmen. And I really thought I made a great candidate, and I do believe I'm a great candidate for that. And again, I think I can bring my business experience to the table. And there's a certain way that we conduct business in the school committee, and I'd like to see that carried forward through the Board of Selectmen as well.
Mm.
And that's certainly not a an insult or
Criticism,
anything at
yeah.
that, but it's just a certain way I think of conducting meetings and conducting business that I'd like to carry forward.
Yeah. Other issues that you have talked about during the election, during the campaign?
Well, we all seem to be talking about tax relief, but I think without any clear-cut goals on that, any clear goals, how are we going to get there? I mean, really, if we are looking to provide tax relief to residents, what does that look like, and how are we going to get there? And unless we give the tax manager, unless we give the town manager some clear goals towards that, for example, let's say in 3 years, this is what we want, our budget to look like. This is what we want tax relief for our citizens to look like. Without that, what are we really working towards?
Mm.
So I'd like to see that.
Have you, as a member of the school committee, I'm sure you've already worked with Paul Cohen. What's your
Yes.
sense of his skill set?
I think he has a great skill set. I think he's done a wonderful job. Everyone seems to be really asking about that. I don't know if it's because of, over the past few years, there's been a lot of attacks on him. And bless his heart, he's taken a lot.
There's been one complaint from one individual. Really.
One of your opponents, as a matter of fact.
But at the same time, people have the right to make their voice heard. I respect that, and I think Paul Cohen's done a good job in weathering that storm.
No, phenomenal.
But I do believe the Board of Selectmen's role not only is to hold him accountable for goals. First of all, to give him some clear goals,
Right.
Hold him accountable for those goals, but also to support him in meeting those goals. You
Right.
don't just throw goals at somebody and that you're ultimately responsible for, right?
Right.
You don't just give him those goals and then stand back and watch him fail or succeed. You jump in there and you help him wherever you can and provide that support that he needs.
Yeah. Dennis?
Yeah, I haven't got to watch the first debate that took place. That was the CBA.
Yes.
But I've heard a lot of things about one of your opponents didn't answer a lot of questions and answered blah, blah, blah to one of them or something like that.
I didn't hear the blah, blah, blah.
Oh, okay. So I'd ask you how you thought the debate went and what came out of that.
I thought the debate went really well. I thought everybody had some great answers. The question was asked, who would I, like to serve with? Quite honestly, I think everybody on that board or everybody on that stage is qualified to serve. I think everybody brings something different. And, I don't think the voters can lose by choosing two people on that stage. But I thought it went well. People, again, the sounding theme is tax relief. And as I'm out and I'm talking with citizens, that really seems to be what people are focused on.
Okay, on taxes, look, why don't you talk about your position on tax classification?
I do not support tax classification. I believe a single tax rate, at this time, is what's fair in Chelmsford. I've talked about this before. In order for the residential homeowner to see a significant reduction in their taxes, say several $100s, you would see an increase to the average commercial property owner of over $7,000 a year, and that's significant. I mean, if you're talking about a pizza place or somebody has a retail store, that could be really detrimental. For industrial properties, it would be an increase of over $15,000. And this is the business I'm in. I'm a principal at a global tax consulting firm. We're over $350 million in sales. We're 47 offices around the country. We understand taxes, and we understand what motivates companies to either stay in a location or to look otherwise. Number one is location, and number two is taxes.
Now, I've not kept track of that. Does Chelmsford currently have a split rate?
No.
Does not. Are there candidates who would have a split rate? Does that position divide the candidates, in other words?
There's one that, the one that
him.
that has leaned that way in the past.
9:24 here on Saturday Morning Live. Warren Shaw here with Jerry Nuno. Dennis Reddy with Janet Askenburg. Janet's candidate for Selectmen. Dennis.
Besides being on the school committee, you also served on the Economic Development Commission.
Yes, I did.
And I've heard you talk about the vacancy rate in Chelmsford and what you'd like to do about it. Maybe you could talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's really important is that we get the name of Chelmsford out there to communities, to businesses, which we've tried to do with the Economic Development Committee. More advertising, and we have a website out there, and I think what's important is that we focus on getting businesses in that can help us refurbish the buildings and the space that we have. We're not looking to add new buildings or any high rises, and I think that's some of what people think economic development is about. Suddenly we have a 10-story building somewhere. It's not about that. We need to fill the space that we have, and by doing that, it's gonna bring people into our town, people who can eat in our restaurants, visit our shops.
How is the occupancy rate for businesses?
We have last I heard, we have approximately 20% vacancy rate in Chelmsford, which is pretty significant.
What would be normal in a good economy?
Boston's at 4.
Boston's at 4?
I was actually getting ready to say about 5%.
So, yeah, I was going to say maybe 5%. I think that's a number I've heard. So that's pretty significant.
I think so. And
Yeah.
again, that's one of the goals I'd like to see for us as a town, one that I'd like to give the town manager. And again, that would, although that's his goal, ultimately the Board of Selectmen are responsible for meeting that goal. So I would like to see some goals around that. So in 3 years, perhaps we look to reduce our vacancy rate from 20% to 15%. And then within 5 years down to 10%. But again, that would start a conversation of, well, what does that look like? Who do I need to bring into that process?
So are you in favor of giving, tips to attract businesses, some tax breaks to get businesses to come into town?
If it's necessary. I don't think, you show your hand and you offer that right away and say, you don't put that on your website. Because businesses will come in town without that, and we have seen that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a tool that, is more often used in a city than it would be in a town like Chelmsford, because Chelmsford is a little bit different in terms of what it has to offer. And
But we have done that. It really depends on whether it's a competitive situation. Most times businesses will come in, and they won't be looking at just Chelmsford, for example. They're looking at least 3 other towns.
Is the town administration currently business-friendly?
I believe so, but a few years ago, the Economic Development Commission held a roundtable of local business owners, and we got some good feedback, but we also got some feedback where we definitely have some challenges. And part of that feedback was, perhaps the planning board, was a little difficult towards some of them. Perhaps they had to, when they went to get permits and licenses, they were running around all around town hall versus kind of a one-stop shop for that.
Yeah, that's a common complaint.
I was just going to say that. We hear that in Lowell. We hear that in Drake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you hear, businesses, like when you're into, opening up your yogurt shop or whatever it is, you're into that whole thing, and you don't realize, I got to go and get a sign permit. I got to go to the historic district and get a sign permit. I got to go to the town and get this, and so the cities and towns, it's not just Chelmsford, anyone, comes over as very bureaucracy, and so
because it's government.
Evan Belansky came into historic district this this last meeting to talk about, can we make life a little easier for the business in the district as far as signage and temporary signs
Oh,
and
that's
that kind
great.
of thing.
Bless his heart. I didn't know he did that.
Yeah.
Good for him.
And it was where was this district?
Historic district
District.
is in the center.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
But I didn't know.
I'm on the commission, so you can't change a sign without coming to us.
Yeah. That
Okay.
can't be a lot of fun. It's that way with the Lowell Historic District.
Right.
And
Oh.
you know, if they
But
have, Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Janet.
But I was going to say, I think that goes back to running things a little bit more like a business, right? Because you want to be friendly towards the residents, you
my
want to be friendly towards the businesses,
Right.
and make it easy for people to work with you.
The problem is that there aren't a lot of people like yourself or like Dennis or like myself that do business that understand those things. There are a lot more people that have just been part of a public process all their life and don't understand why you need to sharpen your focus a little bit in terms of helping people out. So I think having somebody that's, I mean, we all see it the same way, Jerry included, because we're all business people, but
Right,
people in government don't.
right.
You know,
well,
they think they're doing something positive
Right.
by
Their
making
job
your
is to
life
regulate.
more difficult. They
Yeah.
think that's it. Not all of them, but a lot
Right.
of them. So
and I think that, folks like that, they're well-intentioned,
yeah, I agree.
but maybe they
I
just
agree.
don't know what they don't know. And, by electing...
Well said.
But by electing Janet Askenburg for Board of Selectmen, I'll help change that.
All right, you in a rush to get out of here?
No, why?
We'll keep you one more segment. We're going to take a final break here. It's 9:30. We'll have Dave Morrison in your local news. When we be back, we'll have another segment with Janet.
Great, thank you.
Working for a penny, trying to get a fish on the line.
In a coffee house, Sebastian sat, and after every number they passed the hat.
McQueen and McGuire's just a getting higher in LA, you know where that's at. And no one's getting fat except Mama Cass.
980 WCAP Lowell and the entire Merrimack Valley. 980 WCAP, Merrimack Valley News.
Good morning, I'm Dave Morrison. Here's a quick check of what's making headlines here on 980 WCAP. Unsalvageable. That's what officials on Plum Island are calling a home that ripped off of its foundation yesterday. The house was pulled partially into the ocean yesterday morning after the storm's third high tide. 3 other homes are structurally compromised, and a total of 12 others have been condemned by building inspectors. Meanwhile, Boston Mayor Tom Menino defended his decision to keep schools open yesterday as a late winter storm surprised Boston with more than a foot of snow. Menino told the Boston Globe that the blame should fall squarely on the shoulders of local forecasters due to, quote, conflicting forecasts, saying that, quote, calling school off at 5 or 6 in the morning doesn't work. Students who did stay home Friday will not be penalized or marked absent. And many New Hampshire schools were closed or delayed, and many vehicles ran into accidents on slick roads as the same winter storm moved through the area yesterday. As the storm hit the seacoast, the Rye and Northampton police departments closed Route 1A, which totally flooded. Massachusetts Congressman Stephen Lynch says that he will not run ads for his U.S. Senate campaign on a Boston TV station because of an ongoing contract dispute between that station and some union employees. In a letter to our sister station WCVB-TV, the Boston Democrat says that he could not in good conscience advertise on the station while members of IBEW Local 1228 have been working without a new contract for nearly 2 years. And finally, the Maine Warden Service says that it will not charge a 17-year-old skier who was missing for 2 nights near Sugarloaf Mountain for rescue operations, which could have exceeded $10,000. Spokesman for the mountain, Doug Rafferty, says that Nicholas Joy of Medford was neither reckless nor negligent when he went off the ski trail and discovered that he had lost his way. In WCAP Sports, the red-hot Celtics topped the Atlanta Hawks in overtime 107-102. College hockey action, the UMass Lowell Riverhawks, well, they got shut out last night against Providence 3-0. And it was the Merrimack College Warriors who edged out UMass Amherst in overtime 4-3. Super 8 High school hockey action, it was Central Catholic who fell to St. John's last night 3-1. For WCAP, I'm Dave Morrison, the voice of the Valley where everybody gets it.
980 WCAP, Merrimack Valley weather.
Your weather forecast for the Merrimack Valley for today, sunny. It's great to see the sun out there after all the snow we got. High temperatures today will warm into the 40s. For tonight, mostly clear. Any melting we have today could refreeze overnight tonight, so just be careful if you're going out late tonight, early Sunday morning for some areas of black ice. Again, lows tonight down into the 20s. Tomorrow, morning sun, increasing high clouds in the afternoon, highs in the 40s. And then it will be a mostly cloudy Sunday night, and Monday will be a mostly cloudy day, low 50s. Rain showers come in ahead of a cold front and upper-level disturbance. There could be a few embedded downpours, if not Monday night, definitely on Tuesday. Tuesday will still be in the low 50s, and the cold front moves off the coast later Tuesday night. Wednesday, mixture of sun and clouds. It'll be cooler, high temperatures in the 40s and upper 30s with lots of sun, a brisk wind on Thursday. So it looks like we will see some cooler weather after the cold front goes by middle and late next week. Don't forget, before you go to bed tonight, turn your clocks 1 hour ahead. Daylight saving time begins 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. Have a great weekend. This is WBIN TV meteorologist Al Caprillion for 980 WCAP. Everybody gets it.
Hi, this is 980 WCAP's Jack Baldwin. Join me weekdays for the Midday Cafe. It's a fast-paced mix of engaging guests, both local and national, from all walks of the arts and entertainment world. Best-selling authors in the Jackie B Book Club. Great music from live at Jack's Cafe. Lots of laugh with top-notch comedians and a chance to win prizes with the Midday Mindbender. The Midday Cafe. Weekdays on 980 WCAP, where everybody gets it.
To be judged exceptional among your peers is an honor. To be called a leader in the industry, a responsibility. WCVB TV News Center 5, recognized as the top news station in America with a National Edward R. Murrow Award for overall excellence. We appreciate the honor, but our first and only commitment is to you, day in, day out. Thank you for making News Center 5 Boston's choice for news.
When I opened my first dumpy little dirty window, Bob's Discount Furniture, more than 20 years ago, I made myself a promise. If I was a success, I'd never let it go to my head.
Now you're opening your 44th and 45th state-of-the-art stores. You must be doing something right.
True value every day. No phony sales, no phony gimmicks. It's paid off.
And today, you still lead the pack when it comes to value and innovation.
Hundreds of thousands of people from the Northeast to the Mid-Atlantic swear by my Bob-O-Pedic memory foam bedding.
The comfort is amazing, and the price beats the competition by a mile, by 1,000 miles.
That's exactly why I'm slowly but surely convincing the factories to use Bob-O-Pedic memory foam in sofas, love seats, dining chairs, and more.
Only you would think of that.
It doesn't take a brain surgeon. I'm living proof of that. Stay grounded, put the customer first, and constantly improve the products. That's my Bob's way.
Some things never change. The quality, choice, innovation, and value at Bob's Discount Furniture.
.36 here on Saturday Morning Live on 980 WCAP. Warren Show here with Jerry Nutter, with Dennis Reddy and with Janet Askenburg, who's running for running for senator. Dennis has got a couple more questions he wants to ask you.
Selectmen.
Oh, Selectmen. What did I say?
running for
Senator.
I just got all.
You just really want to
It's
promote
been
it.
a long morning. let me just tell you.
He's moving fast.
Wow, you are impressed.
Actually, he thinks senators are lower office than selectmen.
Oh, ouch.
That's because he
Depends
was
how
one
good.
for
Depends how
24
good
years.
you are.
That's it. Yeah, I wanted you to talk a bit about the project that's going on right now for the putting turf fields in McCarthy and Chelmsford High School.
Okay. That is a great project, and hopefully one that town meeting will fully support. We're looking to put in 2 turf fields, one at the high school and one at the middle school. Not only is it safer for the kids, but right now we have to rest the fields, and some of the fields are in such bad condition that we have some groups that actually go to other towns and rent their fields for them to practice. And that's really a shame. And not only will the turf fields provide a safer environment, but it will provide more hours of use, which means, basically more billable hours, more hours that, year round. Supposedly soccer players will play in the middle of winter. All they do is they brush off the snow off these fields, and we can rent these out. And when we're not renting these out to the Chelmsford groups, Chelmsford's perfectly situated Route 495 and Route 3, or Highway 495 and Route 3, where we can attract regional and state tournaments. And we should be, and hopefully those tournaments would be multi-days.
What's the funding source for all of this, for the turf?
We're looking at money from the community preservation, $500,000 from private donations, which we're really on track to meet that goal.
Sal Napoli's kind of leading that fundraiser.
Yeah, and he's doing it. He's doing an excellent job there, and the community's really responding and stepping up. We're also looking at money from capital plan and then a 10-year bond, of which the fees that we would receive back from the rental of the fields would go to pay for that bond, and also setting money aside because in 10 years, we're going to need to replace like the top turf. So
how much? What is the cost to do that?
Both fields?
Yeah.
We're looking at about $3.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
But again, by bringing in when the fields aren't in use by the Chelmsford groups, and again, if we've already had some interest in some groups coming for regional and state tournaments, and if they're staying for several days, that's people staying in our hotels, visiting our restaurants. It's a whole economic boom for the whole town.
Yeah, no argument there. I mean, that is a good, solid argument. One of the things that in Drake they talked about when they were looking for, and they haven't found funds for doing that sort of thing, what the high school football field was. There are so many other, like Pop Warner that uses the field and other. They were actually looking at buying more fields because they were resting the main field all the time. So part of the justification is you actually build less fields and acquire less land as a result of using the turf.
And you get to use them a lot more. And in Chelmsford's case, where Chelmsford has location sitting on the crossroads of 495 and 3, so it becomes a very convenient location for regional tournaments, and I can remember, you talk about the hotels, but I can remember like a soccer tournament or a band tournament at the high school field, and the Radisson Hotel is just busting with people.
Yeah.
So.
And again, supporting our local businesses.
Well, that certainly is a big part of it. There's no doubt about it. What else did you have there?
Okay, well, there's a major project been going on for quite a while, and it's a fire station. So maybe you could talk about your position on the fire station.
Well, I mean, I certainly support the firefighters, and the decision's been made. That's where the fire station's going to be. I like that they've gotten a lot of community input there. They've had the residents be a part of that process, and looks like from the planning board's perspective, there's a design that they like, that they've approved. So I look forward to just moving beyond this. Get the thing built. And, everyone should support it. Again, we had differing opinions throughout the community on this. The decision's been made. The planning board's approved the design. Let's move forward as a community.
Right. So then, in your view, the next significant capital project is the turf fields?
Yes.
And are there others out there looming?
Yeah. What do you see in the next 3 years? What do you see as the major issues or the major projects that are going to take place?
Well, one thing I'd like to see, and I'm surprised I haven't heard a lot of discussion about this, is what are we going to do with the current central fire station? I mean, obviously we're going to tear that down, but what are we going to put in its place? I believe there's been, some thoughts in the past about, is that the Dutton House?
Yeah,
next to the library?
Right, next to the library it used to be called the Pink House when it was pink.
Yes.
And
what color is it now?
It's brown or green.
Yellow?
I don't. Yeah. It's well, actually,
nothing that stands out. That's for sure.
Bernie Lynch
depends
changed
on which
the
side
color.
you're looking at.
Bernie Lynch changed the color because he was under a lot of pressure. People kept yapping about the Pink House, the Pink House, the Pink House. So just paint it, and then they won't know what they're talking about. And it worked.
Confuse them.
It worked. So it is the Dutton House, The original way back, there was talk from the permanent building committee to raise the current fire station, move the Dutton House to that location, and the housing authority was looking at maybe making that their headquarters, and then they could free up where their offices are now at the McFarland, and make that more additional elderly housing.
But there's going to be a cost obviously associated with that. Not only moving the house over, but the house looks like it needs quite a bit of repairs. So that's going to be an investment there.
Yep.
But it would look beautiful. And
what's the zoning? What's the zoning?
It's business in the sense that it's office type places.
Right.
On both sides of it are offices. Across the street is office. So it would fit as
everywhere.
It would be a nice connection to an office building that
but
looks
all
like
the
a barn.
offices are generally old colonials or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it would add to the historic look of the center.
Right.
While serving a great need. And again, with all the controversy that's been going on over the years with 9 North Road and the fire station, I think that's a great way to just kind of heal the community, have a nice location there, and finish off the
so
town center.
Are you saying put up a building or leave it open?
No, what we would do is level the current fire station, and then you'd move the Dutton House to that location.
See, the current fire station was built in 1952, and so it doesn't fit historically. It's a square
but they did
red
a lot
brick
of
building.
that. Back in the day, most of the fire stations were built on the road, so
exactly
every single town had fire trucks turning around on the road and backing in and blocking traffic.
Yep.
Kind of crazy. I don't know. But it's certainly a nice area. And,
well, I think you just didn't have the traffic back then that you have now, and now it's just it's just too difficult.
And on that subject, did the subject of lights on 495 and Route 4 come up at the debate?
No, it did not.
Okay.
And, while I can certainly see a need there, because I know that coming across, I've had incidences where cars are poking their head out and they're trying to
get off the ramp.
Yeah,
Been
exactly.
there,
been there.
But, it just, at the same time, I just hate to see that we keep having traffic lights in our town. When we moved here, almost 12 years ago now, I love that there was the Rotary at Drum Hill. I love that. I've never lived in a place where there was a Rotary, and I like that. And once they put the lights up, I felt it took away a little bit of the character of the town.
Problem with the Rotary is there was 12 accidents a day.
Well, exactly. And I see where, and again, going back to the 495 and North Road, I see where there's a need for that, but I can't help but say, it's a shame that we need to do that.
There are times when I've seen that people on that ramp coming off 495 to get on North Road be out onto 495.
Yep.
And it is tough. There's no question about it. I don't know how you deal with it. I don't know what the right thing is.
Well, I think that with all the signalization that was put on Route 4 from Drum Hill to down 129, that was actually planned, okay, and I was part of that, and the idea was to discourage shortcutting off Route 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was happening is people come down Route 3, get off at Route 4, through the center, out 129 and back onto Route 3. And they did that because Route 3 was a parking lot. So you said, gee, they don't do that same kind of thing on Route 38 because there's too many lights. So that's what we...
Well, you could also do the same thing going north, right?
Right.
So take a left and cut through. But I don't know why you do it because it's not that bad. But anyway, I get that it might be a safety valve that might discourage
so the traffic
people from getting off there.
the traffic in Chelmsford Center is much less than it was before all those lights.
Yeah. I mean, how do we balance safety with keeping the integrity of our town?
And that is what you wrestle with on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we got 2 minutes. Tell the people at Chelmsford why they should vote for Janet Askenburg and ask for their vote.
Okay. First, if you don't mind, I'd like to say that I'd like everyone to come out to my campaign party next Friday, March 15th. It's at Princeton Station from 6 to 10 p.m., so please join me. And why I believe people should vote for me for Chelmsford Board of Selectmen is I truly believe that my business experience, my past 3 years on the school committee, the past 2 as the chair, and also my time on the Economic Development Commission makes me a great candidate for the Board of Selectmen. I truly believe that I have some great skills to bring to the board. We've done some great things over the past 3 years on the school committee that I think could carry over to the Board of Selectmen. And I respectfully ask everyone for one of their 2 votes. Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you.